always come down there in the summertime and stuff. And that's like our only relationship. So I was trying to build that relationship now that I'm getting older, and it was like she didn't want us to have that. So just little stuff. She would lie about stuff, and then stuff that she heard about me, she would put that on me, and she would never like really get a chance to know me. And I always been respectful to her, and whenever she tells me to do stuff around the house, I always make sure that I do it. And it's like she still had a problem with me. So, like, it came to a breaking point when I just went off.
Right.
And I hate to do that because I don't like to be disrespectful to older people, but it's so much disrespect you can take.
Okay. All right.
I understand.
Amen. I want to thank everybody for their openness. So this is a serious topic. So I've actually talked to several people prior to this show. I wanted them to call in so they can tell their own story, so y'all can hear the authenticity in the story. But I'm gonna give you a couple of situations that I got that people call me. So there's a young man whose stepmom sneaks and drinks, but the dad doesn't know that she drinks. So the understanding was they got in a relationship because she told the dad that she no longer drinks. But what happens is she now drinks. The kid is like 12. She drinks and she cusses at him and fusses at him, telling him, you better not ever tell your dad. You know, just those type of scare tactics. That I don't think that's cool. You know, for another.
It should never be okay.
Right. So now you putting this child in a situation where, for one, your relationship is never going to work because now you're coming into the picture. You're being like this evil person. And you're telling me to keep something from my dad. So now you're causing conflict between me and my dad.
Right.
So Brother Jacob, with the multiple kids, what are some of the situations? Because you had to deal with several different mindsets throughout the course of that relationship.
Correct. The oldest was, at the time that I took them in, was 12, and the youngest was 6. So they were pretty much already molded. I dealt with everything from talking back to, the oldest child. At some point, he started to bring drugs into the house, and that complicated things, especially in my position. I actually ended up being forced to send him back to his grandparents after trying to mitigate that situation. But again, without any communication and assistance from his mother, it just made a mess. And you have to, at some point, you just have to make a decision in the interest of everyone to kind of mitigate, the risk and losses of it. The other 3 that were girls, I mean, they saw that they had a better life, a better school system. They all had their own room where they were after 4. They were all doubled up. They saw that, I had added an additional room onto my house. I already had a house. So that everyone had their own separate bedroom, bought a car. So the mother would have a vehicle, when I was at work. They saw all these positive things, and they recognized them. But at the end, when I just realized it wasn't going to work, they wanted to kind of stay with me. I didn't adopt them, but I treated them like they were my own child, even though I don't have any children.
Awesome.
And they wanted to stay, but I was like, "There's no way you're going to be able to stay." I said, one, you're not old enough. Your mother is still your biological parent, and number 2 is like, how do you get rid of your mom and keep you here? That's not going to work either. So what I was trying to do was, I got them through school, and I wanted them to go to college. I took them to a few different colleges and stuff because I was willing to pay for it. Even though I didn't have to. One of them wanted to go to a trade school right in Arlington, and they just kind of fell apart about a year or 2 after we finally resolved everything.
Okay.
But it was really a really hard time for me. If you would have seen pictures of me then, before, and now, I mean, you could definitely tell I was just going through a lot of unnecessary stress that should not have been occurring, because me and the mother just had total different views of how to just how to raise children and treat and respect other people.
Right. So my question to you, Brother Jacob, and also my co-host Maya J, she wanted to ask you something as well. But while I can remember, so at any point in time, did you guys have that conversation about the different mindsets of the kids, and what was her expectations? Did you know what her expectations was when you was going into the relationship, or you was kind of in the mindset of, I'm a strong man and I can kind of adapt to whatever? What was your mindset when you took on that?
It was a combination of both.
Okay.
We had set up some expectations prior to me relocating them up here, and unfortunately, those expectations. I mean, everybody's different. I mean, but the problem was that when you bring two families or anybody together, there has to be kind of like a meeting of the mind to a certain degree.
That's a serious situation, right?
Absolutely, and even though it was verbally agreed of what and how to kind of do things, it was never followed through on the mother's side.
Right.
So it was just like it never happened, even though we had multiple conversations, and I mean we discussed it extensively before the move even occurred. Because my thing was I didn't want to be uprooting kids just to be uprooting somebody.
Gotcha. And
at the same token, I mean, I went down there several times, and it was trying to get them to understand that I'm not an intruder coming into your life. I'm a bonus mentor coming into your life.
There you go.
To help you to further succeed.
I like that mindset.
And be further ahead than where I was at their time frame. But unfortunately, it didn't work. So.
All right. So Maya has a question for the entire panel. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jake. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, sir.
Yeah. Maya has a question for the entire panel. Anyone can answer this question.
This is for anybody, well, everybody to answer. Do you think step-parents should be able to discipline their stepchildren, or let their biological parent be responsible for disciplining them? And if so, should their disciplinary actions be limited to stern talking tos or lecturing, or it could go up to popping, spanking, punishments, or none of the above?
Go ahead, Tasia. I know you want to dive in on that. Go ahead, Tasia. Now go for it.
I feel like it should be limited. I feel like if the step parent sees that the child is doing something that they don't like, they should tell their biological mom or father. But I don't think they should put their hands on the kids, though.
Right. So that comes back to that respect thing, the respecting the relationship, and she's right. I'm not going to just. Well, first of all, it goes back to that communication where we said at the beginning of the show. If we establish this amongst all of us, if so, like in your situation, Tasia, what should have happened was all you guys should have just sat down, and then the dad, the man in the family, should have said, "Hey, this is what I expect for how our household should go. Does anyone have any conflict with how I think it should go?" And at that point, everything is understood. Does that make sense, Tay?
Yeah.
Jocelyn, anything on that?
Well, I'm a step parent, and I go through a lot of issues with disciplining. I have a 6-year-old stepson.
Okay.
And really, discipline is not warranted in the house when the dad is around. So that's a big problem.
That's a huge problem.
And it's stressful on our relationship. He claims he can't stand to hear his son scream or cry. If he's getting a spanking or, discipline, however we discipline him. So he'll leave out the house. Like he's being tortured or something.
So the dad will leave out the house.
He'll leave out the house.
Okay.
And then, many times I may fuss about something, and dad will intervene, and he'll start talking about something else. besides the real issue.
Well, at that point, he's trying to protect the baby's mother, but you didn't hear it from me. That's where that's coming from.
But, that's a problem. And he'll maybe drag my daughter into it, which she has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
Right.
Because it's the son who's done wrong.
Mm-hmm. That's a sign of guilt. That's another thing. Our defense mechanism super kick in when guilt is involved.
Yeah.
So once again, communication should take the place of guilt.
Right.
If you're guilty about something, you might as well talk it out amongst that person, because you might actually learn something. It might actually help the situation.
And
Go ahead, yes, ma'am.
And in that situation, that can also interfere with how, what's your stepson's name? Bryce. That can also interfere with how the young man is going to be raised and the mindset he's going to have when he grows up, because if he sees that he's going to get away with anything because his dad doesn't want to see him upset, and if you have to be the one to be the adult and discipline the young man, and he sees that his dad doesn't want that either, he's going to see that he's going to grow up thinking that he can get away with anything he wants to, and that can put him in a number of bad situations.
Amen.
In the street.
It's gonna make him a bad dad, a bad boyfriend, a bad co-worker, because he's gonna have so much guilt and so much bitterness built up inside of him. And we don't realize the things that we impart on people, it affects the masses.
Right.
We have a call on the line. Is Miss Maritz from Woodbridge on the line? Hi, thank you for calling the Voices of Our Teen show.
Thank you. I had a comment pertaining to step parenting. I was raised by a stepdad.
Yes, ma'am.
At the age of maybe 5 years old.
Okay.
And I had a problem with him disciplining me at that age because he wasn't my dad.
Okay.
But as time went on and my mom spoke to me and taught me how that I had to respect him because he was playing that father role, I quite understood, because my father left the picture and this was the only male model I had in my life. And he was a very positive and loving man, but I had to get through mentally the fact that he's not my dad, he's my stepdad. But as time went on, I developed that love for him and that care for him as my own father.
Okay.
Now I'm dating a man. I've never been a step parent, and he has a 10-year-old. And at that time, when me and him started dating, I did have a problem because I didn't know how to act and how to be a step parent. But that's a communication that me and him had to sit down and we discussed. And I grew love for his daughter, and she just has become part of my family. Okay. And I don't seem to have a problem interacting with her and her giving me that respect, and me and her talking and having that bonding connection.
Did you have a conversation with the dad prior to imparting into? Okay.
Yes.
All right.
And that was a conversation that I wanted because I never dated someone that had a child. My kids are grown, and I felt like, okay, here I have to start over again now with a 10-year-old. So one of the things that he did mention to me was, if you're going to be in our lives and in her life, I need you to play that role. She does have a mom, but when she's with him, I'm responsible for her just as much as her mom is.
That's the truth. That's
and
facts.
For her safety, to teach her and, keep her, love her just like my own, show her respect. But she's a great kid, and I was in your show a couple of weeks ago, and you personally met her, and she has an attitude that's way beyond, like, she just brings joy to my life. And that's something, again, that I feel like you need to discuss with the person you're dating or the person that you're marrying about how and what is your place in that relationship towards that child.
All right. Very, very well said. Very well said and very well spoken. I think the initial introduction or interaction with stepmoms, stepdads, and the stepkids should be, hey, I'm not here to take your mom or dad's place. I'm here to enhance the growth of your life. If you ever have any problems with me, that I'm doing something that you don't like, please, let's talk about it. I think we all should come from a place of allowing the kids to be open to talk to the step parent about anything they want to, even if it comes from a place of anger. You have to allow that kid to get that out because you don't know what that kid has been going through.
Mm-hmm.
So I commend you. And she is a very lovely young lady. Yes, I did have the pleasure of seeing her and interacting with her. And I also want to give you a great shout out for being such a wonderful person that you are as well.
Thank you.
All right?
Great show, by the way.
Thank you so much for calling in.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. So Tasia, we're gonna go to you. What advice would you offer to a young lady and their mom and dad that's kind of in the same situation? What would you like to have happen for you once you arrive to Mississippi?
I would like to have had maybe me and her developing a relationship.
Right.
Because we didn't have a relationship. I feel like he was trying to get me by probably like buying me stuff or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like you should develop a relationship with your stepchild. And that's what rubbed me the wrong way, because when me and her got into it, I called her fake, and I felt like she was fake because I said that I felt like she was fake because I said that she was just doing all that stuff to make a good impression.
Right.
When whole time she felt some type of way about me.
Okay.
So I feel like her and my dad, they should have had like you guys were saying, having a conversation. I feel like they didn't have a conversation because my dad didn't know what to do at that point.
Right. And that's
So
why. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Finish.
So I feel like you should develop a relationship with a child, with your stepchild.
Okay. And I wanna add to it so that everybody can understand what the developing of a relationship is. And it all goes back to everybody's just sitting down, discussing the things that you like, you dislike, what's your favorite TV shows, you know what I mean? What are some of the places you wish you could have went to that you haven't? We have to get in a place of making everybody comfortable. Whenever people discuss things that are not comfortable, you get tense, and in a lot of cases, the wrong things come out because you're always on the defense. Because you want, and I always say it, we need to stop sending our representative to these meetings and just come as who we are. Because that way, if they accept you for who you are, you're gonna feel good about yourself because, hey, I told you who I am and what I'm about. So then for you to continue on being in this relationship or continue on being my stepmom or being my stepdad, you have to accept this. Brother Jacob, you can jump in at any time.
Okay. One of the things that I did for like the first year and a half before I had to start working a bunch of overtime to make sure that the family's wants and needs were appropriate, I created on my own, I gave each child like about 3 to 4 hours individual time, just me and them.
Awesome.
Per week.
Awesome.
And like we would go out, like, and it didn't make a difference where it was at, whether it was to a restaurant or like to a park or something. And that was me trying to bond and trying to figure out who they were, what they wanted to be, what their expectations was. It actually worked out pretty good. Like I told you before, I mean, as the relationship grew on in years, I actually ended up having a better relationship with the children than the mother. Mm-hmm. But you know, when you have a child that is constantly, what they're seeing is positive, but what they're seeing out of their biological parent is not that positive. And then the two split and they lose, you know, they feel like they're losing everything that they've obtained. Then usually, unfortunately, instead of them accepting the situation, they choose sides.
All right.
And that goes back to the communication of what you were saying and understanding. You know, just be yourself and, you know, sit down and talk to them. Now, one of the things I did do later on before I got divorced was each one of those children said that they wanted to meet their dad. Now, they were in different states.
Okay.
Two of them were incarcerated. One of them had just gotten out, was constantly going in and out of being incarcerated. There was no type of funding that was coming from them, from the, through the mother, even though she did file for child support way before me.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that I did was I said, okay, if you want to meet your dad, I have to go through your mom because, she's the one that has the court orders and stuff. But she says, okay, I think it's fine that you should meet your dad. I don't know him either, And one of the things that the dad did, they generally, once they kind of saw how their, child was in a better place than where they were and everything,
Right.
and they saw that I, wasn't doing any harm to them, they actually thanked me for taking them in. But they also said that it'll be interesting to see if your relationship works with my other half.
Wow.
So that was the information that they had that I didn't know.
Well,
And like I said, that was the original issues. It was, trying to, like you're going to have to respect yourself. You're not going to go to school with your pants hanging down.
Yep.
You're not going to be cursing at anybody or anything like that. You're going to respect yourself. You're going to be an outstanding citizen. And like the other individual said, when she was saying that the punishment was through physical means, I don't have an issue with punishment through a physical means, but if you have communication and understanding,
mm-hmm.
usually it doesn't get to that point.
It doesn't.
And the things that I was asking you to do, like when you get home, do your homework first, so you don't have to worry about it. Then you can go out and play.
Mm-hmm.
I had given everybody like something small according to their age. Like, one person, like the trash will come out. Like, just pull a trash can out
Right.
before you leave and go to the school bus stop.
Mm-hmm. And these are things that they need.
Like that. It's
Right.
a simple thing. It gives you that discipline and character that you're going to carry on for the rest of your life.
Well, I'm gonna get your number because I'm gonna help you get this book because you got a book that needs to get out. I don't know if you thought about writing a book, but you definitely have a book on your heart that can save a lot of people. So this question, I'm gonna ask a question. I'm gonna let my super co-host answer one. This was in my, I gets old. That's why I wrote mine down. I don't want to forget it. But I want each one of you guys to answer this question. If the stepmom or stepdad says one of us has to go, and I'm gonna give you the scenario. If you start dating someone and you get married, and your son or your daughter lives with you, and the stepmom or the stepdad say, hey, look, I'm sick and tired of this. Either I'm staying or he or she is going. How do you handle that situation? We'll start with you, Jocelyn.
Well,
I'm
the step parent.
You the step parent, and it's your kid, but that the person is saying either he gonna go or your kid's gonna go.
Well, he would have to go.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, most definitely.
Okay.
I can't choose my relationship over my child.
Hey, okay. Brother Jacob?
Well, it's interesting you said that because I actually did experience that. Like I told you, the oldest one, which was the young man. Like I told you, when he started bringing drugs in and he just wouldn't listen, you leave the house and bringing people over and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And he actually physically threatened me one day. Wow. And I said, okay, you know what? This is not going to work. I said, we're going to bring you back down to your grandparents' house. And I told her, I said, look, I don't have a problem if you want to leave the relationship.
Right.
But you are not enforcing through your biological child that you don't talk to anybody like that.
Amen.
Child, adult, or indifferent. Mm-hmm. And that's where my complication came in because it was like, he didn't want to go, the three girls didn't want to go, he really didn't want to go. But what I found out after the fact was, because he didn't come up with us originally,
mm-hmm.
he stayed in the other state with his grandparents. What I found out after the fact was, when he came up, it was involuntarily because he was doing the same stuff down there and stealing their cars and stuff. And nobody told me.
Okay.
So it was like they brought a problem into something and nobody told me, and they expected it for it to change. And, change occurs internally first.
Right.
Just because you change an environment, you're just going to find the same people that are doing the same thing.
All right.
There were a lot of complications involved in my situation.
Mm-hmm.
But in my case, it was like, okay, either this is going to turn physical, which is not going to be good for anybody, but not to mention the type of job that I had. Then there could be a point to where I could be suspended while they're looking into stuff. Now, no money's coming in and everything is all screwed up. So you have to kind of look at it twofold. I mean,
Right.
There is a line for everything.
Okay.
It's just a question of where that line
Where
is,
the line's drawn.
and the issue and the circumstances.
All right, Tasia. I'm gonna jump to Tasia because I'm with you, Jake. We loving what you're saying. That's why I need more than an hour show, especially for these topics. So Tasia, you're there, and a situation comes up, and your stepmom tells your dad, "Hey, I'm sick and tired of this. Either she goes or I go."
Well, hopefully my dad say she gotta go, but I feel like she should go. In the relationship, I feel like she should say she should go if the child is doing everything that he's supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, it all depends on if the child is really acting up like the man was just saying.
Right. So, and it's a very, and the reason why, and I'm sorry for taking away from everybody's time, because this is a very touching subject, and I want to hit the heart of it. And the heart of it is there are a lot of people in those situations where the husband in the situation, his back is up against the wall, where he has to react to the spouse and to the child, and it causes a lot of turmoil, and is a segue to this. Because in the beginning of the entire relationship, the parties did not sit down and say, hey, this is how it's going to go.
Communication is key in these type of touchy situations because
Mm-hmm.
I think it depends on, like Tasia said, what the situation is. In Tasia's situation, Tasia had to be the mature one and had to be respectful even though she wasn't getting respect in return. And her dad should be the stepmom saying she should leave because it's not the child's fault. But in Mr. Jacob's situation, being the step parent, tried to respect the kids and made sure that he set the kids up in a good situation. He even tried to have the kid go to the grandparents' house to try to reform their mindset and come back as a better person. And they went down to another state. I don't remember what he said.
Right.
But went down to another state, came back to find out that he was doing the same things down there, and he wasn't aware of it. So in that situation, this parent, which was Jacob, he should have left because, well, not left, but
I see where you're going with it.
because it depends on the situation. If
lot.
the kid is doing good and it's the step parent, then the step parent should go. If it's same way, vice versa.
Mm-hmm. I see Ms. Johnson has a lot of notes. Is something you want to share, Ms. Johnson?
Well, I just wanted to say, if you don't discipline a child,
Mm-hmm.
he may think it's okay to do whatever.
Right.
And, I mean, along the line, he may grow up to disobey, be disobedient.
I'm going to do it.
Be disrespectful, get in trouble, like Maya had mentioned earlier. And, I mean, sometimes that's why a lot of men and women now are in jail.
Are in jail because somebody triggered them to do something.
Yeah.
And even in your situation, Tasia, and even in both of y'all, Jacob's and Tasia's situation, at any given point in time, both of you guys could have snapped based off of y'all scenarios. And for my listeners, man, what I want y'all to take away from this show, and it's not even just about the step parenting and the step kids and all this,
Mm-hmm.
everything that needs to be done has to start with some form of communication. It has to be.
And I feel like, I'm sorry,
Now go ahead.
but I feel like here we fell in that because all the communication is through text.
Right. And that I would take that's another figure outside the household.
She can say something to me and I don't know if she's mad or what. Like,
Okay.
So I feel like everybody should just sit down at one point, and it doesn't have to be every day, but I feel like everybody should sit down probably on Sunday and just say, oh, this needs to be done, or everybody just goes around the table and saying what they don't like and what
Yep.
should be happening in the house.
Yeah, we talk about this all the time on the shows. I think that you should have family meetings once a week.
We pretty much did for the most part. I mean, we weren't the same day because of shift work.
Yeah.
Pretty much did, but the problem is I didn't have any follow through.
Right, gotta hit that follow through and that backup, man.
Right. So I mean, it was just talking, just words,
So,
I mean, you have to have communication, trust, and follow through.
right, and
If you don't have those three,
right.
nothing will
It's gonna work. Yeah, I got you, Jake. And you're
Can I
coming.
say something?
Yes, ma'am. What's some?
Well, I just want to say, Jacob, I'm in the same situation now, and it's just a lot of talking and words, And earlier in the relationship, there was an agreement as far as the disciplining, but it's not sticking. So it's really a big problem.
So and once again, this is a serious show. At some point, we have to stop fearing the unknown, and we have to get out of bad situations. We stay in a situation waiting for that situation to change. People
Yes.
stay for days. People stay
Yes.
for years.
Yes.
People stay for the rest of their life. You have to get
Nah.
out of it,
And
and
that's what I did.
you got to do it, Jacob. You got to get out of it because you're gonna be darned if you do, darned if you don't anyway. And at the end of the day, you have to live your life for yourself and not anyone else.
Exactly.
We keep trying to protect everybody's feelings. We keep worrying about how somebody gonna feel about us, what somebody gonna say, what they gonna do. Man, enough of that.
Yes.
You got it. Yes, ma'am. Go
I want to
ahead.
say, back in the day, it didn't matter who whipped you, spanked you, your neighbor, your
Right.
teacher,
Right.
whoever. It didn't matter. You
And-
may
and-
had 2 or 3 whippings in one day.
And I still, even with that, and I'll tell you what works other than the spanking. You got to take stuff.
Oh yeah.
You got to take
Yeah.
stuff. You got to take stuff from the kids. You got to take stuff from your mates.
Yeah.
You got to take stuff from people at your job. When you start taking things away, people will conform to where you want them to be.
Yeah.
Well, look, I actually did that. The only problem is that whenever I left for work, everything was, it was just, okay, do whatever you want. He's not here. And then when you come back, home,
And guess what? But guess what you did with and Jacob, you got out of that situation.
Yeah.
You feel me? That's the thing. This is life. This is life. Without even using God, I'm not gonna use God. You communicate in the beginning, see how it goes in the middle, and if at the end it's not working, then it's not meant to be.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's like your life. You got the year when you were born. You have a dash. Then you got a year you die. Those two things, those two bookends, that's reality. Everything in the middle can be changed and can be fixed. But if you don't take the time out to change it and fix it, then you're going to always be behind.
Exactly.
So we have to take control of our lives. And Tasia, I commend you for sticking it out, for being tough, and for being a bigger person, man. At the age of 18, that speaks volumes of who you are and how you were raised and where you're going to be down the road. And just like with you, Jacob, men ain't doing what you did, man. That speaks volumes to who you are. To step in there and take on what you took on. Just like you, Miss Johnson, you came up through dealing with your grandparents, raising you, and then you get in another situation dealing with a stepkid, but you're still strong. And a lot of people play on real good people.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the person that they want to be, but they won't make the change. So
Right.
basically, in a nutshell, you have to live it. The person who you are is the person that you are by yourself when you look in the mirror when nobody else looks.
Right.
That's who you really are.
That's the only person that can save you other than God.
And I want to say,
But even God gives you the opportunity, but if you don't take them,
The bishop talked about that today. Go ahead.
And
Go ahead, Miss
I
Johnson.
want to say, we all want our children to be a better person in life. And by doing that, we have to have some form of discipline in the home so that you can mold them. And they will know that this is how I'm supposed to be
Consistency.
and act. Yes.
With consistency.
Yes,
And-
with consistency.
And in a lot of cases, we only have to whoop our kids to get them to be consistent.
Oh, you can look at them.
You can look at them. You
Yes.
can take.
Exactly.
You can give them a hug.
Yes,
You can tell them how bad your day is. There's a whole bunch of ways you can go about it.
right.
So, Tage, I'm gonna reach out. We man, it's one of them good shows, man. So, Tage, in closing, what advice would you offer to teenagers that could possibly be going through a situation where they don't have a very good relationship with their stepmom?
I would just tell them to be the bigger person and try to talk to their dad about it, so the dad can talk to his wife about it. Because the wife should be the bigger person in the whole situation, anyways.
Yeah. That's
But
dope.
she would have. You should just be the bigger person, and they will have to change for themselves.
All right.
And if you see that your parents, this is for anybody, and like if you're the stepchild, if you see that your parents, if your biological parent isn't noticing how the step parent is acting, if the step parent is being a bad step parent, then you should approach your biological parent and talk to them about the situation and ask for the biological parent to talk to the step parent, or for you all to have a group meeting. Sometimes the kid has to be the mature one and ask for the whole family to sit down and talk about a certain situation. And I think kids grow up based off of, I think they're affected off of what's happening inside. Like if they have at home conflicts, then they're going to act out, or they're going to not feel comfortable in certain situations because it's going to remind them of what happened when they were younger. And if, like Jocelyn, in your situation, your stepson, he's going to grow up in the mindset of, oh, I can do whatever I want, and he's going to have a lot of bitterness inside of him. And in this situation, he has a good role model. He has a good step-parent as a good role model, but his dad is blocking that because of how his father feels. And his father should step back and see that he's going to have to man up and put some he's going to have to put some firmness into that family, because that's not how the world is. You're not going to always get your way.
Yeah, you're right, because I'm telling him one thing and his dad is telling him something else.
Right.
So it's like he don't know which way to go.
Yeah,
what to do.
it's coming from a place of what I want to say. It's your comfort zone. That's a whole nother show too. A lot of us live in our comfort zone. If we're comfortable with something, we don't want to just stay parked right in our comfortability. We don't want to step out of self in order to cure self. If we stay where we are, we're going to always be who we are. And your life is so ever changing because you're going through so many things. So you have to step out of yourself to actually look at yourself. You know that old movie, Miracle on 34th Street or whatever, when the guy, I guess he died or something, and he came back, and y'all know the black and white movie. That's a very powerful movie, right? It's long than a mug, but if you sit down and watch it with your family, it answers a lot of questions, because tomorrow isn't promised to you. And in that movie, he had a second chance to make it all right.
Right.
We don't have second chances to make it right. So whatever decisions we make now, we have to make them and own them, and stop worrying about how everybody else is feeling, man. Because we setting ourselves back.
That's the only way you can better yourself.
Right. Say again, Maya.
That's the only way you can better yourself, if you step back and look at what you're doing and think this isn't right, or you have to step out of your comfort zone and try new things and change how you act, even if you're not really used to it. But you should turn bad behaviors and bad habits into good habits and good behaviors, because that's how you better yourself as a person.
Awesome. I want to thank everyone. I hate saying everybody because the proper saying is everyone. So I want to thank everyone for taking the time out on a Sunday to to call in on the Voices of Our Teens show. Myself and Sister Maya J. really thank you guys, and we want you to take something from this show. And basically what we've been saying is, in any situation, you have to sit down and have the communication first, and simply sit. Step parents, for everybody that's step parenting, even if you're already involved in step parenting, maybe sometime this week y'all need to sit down and just have a talk about where you are right now as a family and where you're trying to go. And for ones that have the kids involved, I would actually let the kids open up, let them speak, and then you guys can kind of follow behind them, because what's going on is the adults are going on about their lives while the kids are suffering, especially when the kids' other biological parent is still involved. And that's another thing. We got to grow up. So all parties at some point, if possible, need to just sit and talk, whether it be via a letter. It's okay for, the new wife or whatever to sit down and write a letter to, the ex and say, hey, my name is such and such and such and such. How would you like for me to conduct myself with your daughter or your son? Is there anything that I need to know? Would you like can we meet at some point to discuss your child? If you can't do that as a people, then you're not doing right by your kids.
Of course, and then also, go ahead, Jacob.
Go ahead, Jacob, Brother Jacob.
No, I said absolutely. I was agreeing with.
Oh. And then also the biological parents should also take into consideration of how the child feels and how they're acting around the child, because they shouldn't try to outdo the other parent. If one parent buys one kid one toy, then other parents shouldn't try to buy them 2 toys. You shouldn't try to outdo the other biological parent, and you shouldn't try to outdo the step parent.
That is my 14-year-old author, philanthropist, basketball player, actress. Can you sing?
No.
Don't try. Nah, but I always tease Maya about that, because I'm often proud of her, and it also lets us know that our kids are very informative. Our kids have a lot to offer. We have to stop downplaying the fact that our kids can't come to the table and bring advice and give solutions, because they are smart enough. They do more research than we do, so why not afford them the opportunity to speak? So Nikki put up her fingers. I don't know, like I said, I don't know if it's a peace sign or what. Maya pointed to something. What you?
No, I just have some things to say. Closing remarks.
Go ahead. You got 2 minutes. Say that right there real quick, Maya.
I'd just like to wish my parents a happy anniversary. They're celebrating 15 years of happiness for being married.
And that's 15 years of communication. And Nikki got the one finger up, because I know our show ain't rated number 1 yet. We got. So once again, we're gonna close. We got 1 minute. Thank you guys. Love you all.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank my listeners for tuning into the Voices of Our Teens show. Maya J is doing great things. Please support Maya J and all her efforts. She's a very phenomenal young lady doing great things. And once again, I love you guys. You didn't have to be here to listen to this show, but you guys did. And I thank you. Thank God. Oh, I forgot to thank my mom and my dad and my Lord and Savior. My bad, y'all. But Jacob, man, blessings to you. Tasia, love you, and we'll talk soon.
Follow us on Instagram, Voices of Our Teens.
Yep.
Has been involved with this.
Outstanding. Voices of Our Teens on Instagram.
Follow Voot.
Boot. There we go. All right, we out, y'all. All right, good show. We need longer than an hour. All right. Say bye, Miss Jocelyn.
Bye.
All right, y'all. Hey, it was another powerful show. My sidekick, my ace boon coon, my cut buddy in the house. Yeah, just step parents. We gotta communicate more. People just gotta bring stuff to the table. You gotta just bring. If you're at work or at home, at school, and you thinking about something, write it down on a piece of paper, and then bring it to your spouse, your kid, or whomever, even your boss at work, and just, talk about your thoughts, because you can't keep holding stuff in. We got to talk about it.
Of course.
We agree?
Yes, communication is key in almost every situation.
Everything we do, and a lot of people, it's just talking, and I got to get better at it. Cause I worry about how people feel too much, man. I mean, I gotta get out of that. I'm gonna be passed out somewhere worrying about how somebody else feel. When all I had to do was just speak my piece. But I'm out of here. You feel me? All right, y'all. Peace.